Liberty, democracy, freedom. These are the three ingredients chosen to help motivate you to become a successful, high-ranking Helldiver. Not all is willing to put their life on the line and sacrifice what is needed to eradicate these planets that are suffering from automaton and Terminator tyranny. Helldivers 2 is a cooperative third-person shooter developed by Arrowhead Game Studios and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. Helldivers 2 is the direct sequel to Helldivers, a 2015 top-down shooter that takes place in the same universe. Now that we know what kind of game it is, let's talk about the good. I know it's still the top of 2024, but this is one of the best looking games to come out so far, especially when you go back and look at the previous game. The upgrade is quite impressive. Started on the ship, let me tell you, it is very detailed and the lighting is great. From the ship management to the war board, you can tell the devs focused on how the ship looks and feels inside. It makes you believe you're spreading democracy for the greater good. Looking out into space and enjoying the skybox from your ship is definitely a thing of beauty. You can see the planet that you're hovering over, all of the other ships surrounding you, and missiles either being shot up from below or missiles raining down to provide aid for Helldivers. The war table also looks cool and is quite detailed when choosing which faction and planet you want to liberate. It's easy to navigate and straight to the point. While you're deploying, the cinematics go fucking crazy. You drop down inside of a capsule that looks like a bullet is shooting towards the planet. The fire covers the capsule and you can see whoever you're playing with deploy with the same effects. The shit is motivating low key and you feel like you're really about to kick some alien and robotic ass. Now dropping down into the planet after breaking through the ozone layer starts off as a top down, and when you land it goes into a third person, and let me tell you, the surrounding area looks lovely. The skybox for the planets are top tier. When it's dark, sunny, cloudy, whatever the setting is, the game sort of mentally prepares you for what you're heading into just before the fight. It's like someone painted a picture and brought it to life through this game. Although there is a small variety of enemy types in the game so far, their design looks good but intimidating. Just to point out a few, first the chargers. They are big armor bugs that charges at you with no remorse. Then you have the bow spewer. These big booty green goo filled bugs are a sight to see when you first start playing the game. Think of a lightning bug that can't fly with spider legs that shoots booty juice at you. Yeah, doesn't sound too pleasant, does it? Next you have the automatons. The design of these robots look insane. They are more intimidating than the aliens when you see them for the first time. They have red eyes and some of them have chainsaws for hands. One is called the Hulk. It has mini guns and missile launchers and a flamethrower attachments that are heavily armored. Then you have a Devastator that are heavily armored as well, and they have rifles with rocket launchers on them. Just talking about them doesn't do them enough justice if you aren't familiar with the game already. Overall, the game looks great and it draws you in the moment you hit the battlefield. Before I bought the game, I was watching a few friends play it and I instantly wanted to spend my money, and I did just that. Now I'm not gonna lie, the gameplay is fire. This was the #1 thing that made me purchase the game in the first place. Let me give you a few reasons why. The strategy system is definitely one of a kind. Although it is annoying and takes some time to get used to, it adds that extra bit of uniqueness that other shooters just does not have. It's so cool calling in a missile strike and watching it rain down on your enemies, or calling in a heavy machine gun and the care package drops down, smashing into the ground, opens up and you take what you need. It adds a layer of urgency that you don't feel normally when playing other shooting games, specifically third-person shooters. The combat itself is top tier. First of all, you can switch between third and first-person view seamlessly, and it's so satisfying when you're getting an up-close look at the firepower and bullets ripping through the enemies or bombs blowing on the smithereens. Really feels like you're in an interactive movie when in first person. It definitely adds a different dynamic to the game and is comfortable to play in. You can tell Arrowhead really wanted the player to experience both views and let us play how we want. It's satisfactory level regardless of how you play. I like both views personally and play in both since we have the option to. Shooting in this game feels good and sounds great. There is no better way to explain it, as this is one of the best shooters I've played in a while. The tenacity of this boots on the ground combat is something we've been missing. There are 9 difficulty levels with trivial, which is something newcomers can play on to get their feet wet for the first time, and all the way to Helldiver, which is the 9th and hardest difficulty. And I haven't played on this yet myself because I have to complete a mission on Impossible first, but I know it's hell. I have a few friends that played that difficulty and they can barely finish it, so tread lightly or run with a full squad at least. Which brings me to my next point. Playing this game with friends is such a great experience. The game has friendly fire and you can't disable it, so you have to watch where you're aiming, where you're you're throwing explosives and be mindful of when and where you are calling the airstrikes. Just like in real life, communication is key when playing this game, but makes for funny moments when you're playing with friends and y'all can't get it right. For example, me and a few friends were almost done with a mission. We were getting ready to evacuate. The homie homeless had called in what she thought was a smoke screen and actually called in a napalm strike and almost killed everybody. It was funny as fuck, and now you get where I'm coming from. For the most part, mechanically the game feels smooth and everything you want in a shooter until you get to diving around the map, but I get into that later. The game also has friendly fire, which adds another level of intensity to the game, so you have to pick your shots carefully. Did I mention this game has dismemberment? Now let's get into one of the main reasons this game is so successful in the first place, and that's the community. You see, shooters have been stale lately and people have been waiting on the next best thing, or maybe just another thing, because the genre itself got stale and the fans needed something different ASAP. We were all waiting on it. Now we have Helldivers 2. The community is one of the driving forces for this game's success. The hype surrounding this game, and with the co-audience coming back from the first game, really put Helldivers 2 in a great position. When it finally released, the game took off, selling 1 million copies its first week. A plethora of memes, clips of gameplay, and word of mouth swept through the internet, and they amassed over 8 million sales. I watched a couple of friends play the game for about 1 to 2 weeks before I actually bought it, and it's one of the best purchases for $40 I've spent in a while. They kept telling me, "Come on Flex, this game is fire, you should get it," and asking when I buy it. That's the word of mouth I mentioned earlier. This had a similar feeling to when Elden Ring came out back in early 2022. I told everyone I knew that played games to get it and check it out. Well worth the money. Even through all the issues the game has had since launch, I'll get into those later in the video, it seemed as though the community did not care. They complained, but that didn't stop anyone from playing or attempting to play. That really shows how great the game is in my opinion. Furthermore, add the fact that the game has a D&D style of play within the game. Basically, Helldivers has a game master that pretty much controls the tides of the war, how he see fits, and it's an actual human being controlling it. He goes by the name Joel. That plays a huge factor in making the community come together and fight alongside each other to potentially beat Joel at his own game. It's so fun because we really don't know what he's going to do next when it comes to controlling the Terminids or automatons. For example, before we got mechs in the game, they had announced they were on the way. On the day the mechs were supposed to drop, we had got a major order saying that we had to liberate planet Tien Quan, which is the base where the mechs were being produced. That small detail of implementing that into the story of the game was pretty cool. People were speculating why they decided to go that route, but we're not about to get into that. Either way, that was a smart move. I would like to mention that the CEO for Helldivers 2 was also updating the community, whether that be reacting to memes, addressing complaints, or letting us know when new content is about to drop. I'm giving praise for that because you don't see that on a regular basis, if ever, to be honest. Helldivers 2 has a lot of replayability because of the PvE aspect of the game. The main objective is to go to different planets and liberate them from the automatons and Terminids. You collect samples and super credits and earn medals and requisition slips, which all have different use cases, like upgrading your ship, buying new stratagems, and unlocking weapons, armor, and capes. You complete missions while also hitting points of interest, and that gets you additional points and a better score. What I think adds to the replayability is when you're at the board table, you see a map and it tells you what planets other players are on and how much of each planet is liberated. I think that gives us, the players, the incentive to go help out as much as we can and continue the effort to spread democracy for Super Earth. Also, being able to drop in and out at any time and not have to worry about playing a full game when you're either crunching on time or you have to leave just in case of anything, I really like that, especially since you don't get a penalty for leaving games. That allows the players to hop on the game without it feeling like it's a chore. The pattern they've shown so far with content updates seems like we're always going to be getting a various of weapons, explosives, armor, and capes, so that's pretty cool. They are called Warbounds and they plan to release them every month. Now let's get into what I didn't like about the game. My complaints with this game is that it still has some technical issues. For example, sometimes it's difficult to invite your friends to a lobby because you can't see your friends list. It shows as if you don't have any friends on at all, or it shows them offline. Obviously, this is a big problem because most of my friends, and I'm sure others that play this game, are adults, and we already have limited time as it is, with people having families, jobs, hobbies, school, etc. to attend to on a regular basis, and can't always play with who they want because the servers are messed up at inconvenient times. This is me nitpicking, but the dodging in this game is no bueno, no good. It feels so stiff when you're dodging through the air, and when you land on the ground, you expect your character to get up automatically or roll, but no, you lay there and it feels like it takes a second or two to get back up. That can be annoying, but you get used to it. Also, the game has stamina. Now, I understand that the game is supposed to be challenging, and I have no problem with that. I'm one of the people that dropped in on the automatons my first time playing, and I got clapped. But stamina makes the game harder than what it needs to be. You can easily find yourself in the heat of battle, and while sprinting, if you aren't paying attention, you will be slowed down, and that normally doesn't end well. Oh, I almost forgot forgot to mention, don't try and run through a thin bush, that'll slow you down too. Now I like the stratagem feature, it's a cool concept and I'm used to it by now, but it's still annoying. Having to take some time typing in inputs, especially when you're once again in the heat of battle. The spawn rates can get out of control sometimes, it feels like you don't have the time to call in an airstrike, supplies, or anything. You find yourself fighting for your life a lot in this game, and the input and stratagems makes the game a little harder than what it needs to be, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't know about y'all, but for me, that can be frustrating at times when you're getting bodied. As they say though, shut up and get good. Overall, the game is fire. I can see myself playing this for the long run, especially since they are going to consistently support the game. I don't see this game going anywhere because the community is strong and it's genuinely fun. Microtransactions aren't predatory, so it doesn't come off as a gotcha game. You can earn all the currency just by playing the game, and I think that's one of the reasons why this game is so successful. Allowing people to have an option to spend their money and not have to pay to win really puts players in a good mood. The funny moments and memes produced from this game alone has been top tier. You can easily become immersive in this game with the soundtrack, which is also top tier, and overall sound design. Everything that is in the game was purposely and strategically placed to get the most out of the players so the players can get the most out of the game. I highly recommend this game if you've been looking for something new to play. With a $40 price tag, I say this game is well worth it. This is my first time rating the game, and I'm going to start with this game moving forward. On a flex scale of 1 to 10, this game raw as hell, I'm giving it a 9. What I would like to see is melee weapons sometime in the future. Helldivers 2 definitely has the potential to have a variety of weapons being in the game at an endless rate. I remember seeing the community mention lightsabers as one of the melee weapons. If they can make that happen, that would be fire. I would also like to see more enemy types. There's been rumors circling the internet saying the Illuminate are returning from the first game, and they look like they mean business. So to that, I can't wait. I just want to continue to see them win and be consistent with content drops. I would also like for you to click the card in the middle of the screen and watch my All-Star Brawl review. You know you don't have anything else to watch anyway, so go ahead and watch that all the way through.